Salute and thank you, NERDSoul. Yeah, Lay Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that Street Geek and NERDSoul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go. Oh, man, because we up in here talking about the penguin, the penguinosity, the Matt Reeves world of Batman, Joker, Riddler, Penguin, everybody in Gotham just doing wrong. But we aren't by ourselves. I have Jay Sherer. What's up?
Hey, what's up? It's good to be here. One of my favorite shows of this year so far to talk about. So I'm glad to talk about it. It'll be really fun. And there's some things about this show that are pretty intense. So we'll get into it.
Cool. And we also have Solar Grey, the cinematic sorcerer. What's up?
Hello, everyone. This is Solar Grey coming at you from the Wizard's Tower by way of NERDSoul. Hit that like and subscribe button. And before we get started, I want to say that, I really appreciate it that you got me on this show, I mean, somebody like me, you know what that means? Somebody like me, that means something. It means I appreciate that you would take the time to listen to what I gotta say, a mook like me.
Oh boy! So, you know what? I'll throw it to Solar. We can actually, if you are checking out right now, whether you're on the phone or desktop or laptop, whatever you're doing, go in and comment your favorite part of the season below right now, because I'm gonna throw it to Solar. Solar, what is your favorite part of this season, or favorite scene, favorite moment of this season before we get started?
Bro, I can't. I can't name one. Like,
oh really?
Yes, seriously.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like, I can tell you my shocking moments.
Okay. What's a shocking moment?
How can I put this? So I'm into them funny books. I mean, I'm not like our boy Hannibal Taboo, but I ain't too far off. I'm like 1 or 2 levels below, and this is a dude who's like a writer and producer and all that other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But what I can say is I always knew the Penguin was bad, right? Because he's a Batman villain. Batman villain and Spider-Man villains, they both have a special kind of relationship with being bad guys. Quite honestly, some of the most iconic villains of comics in general. But the Penguin has never really gotten a whole lot of love. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
But to find out the dude was born bad. And that, like, what kind of dude do you gotta be to have your own mama break a bottle to stab you with it?
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's one thing getting stabbed by your mama, but to do the whole broken bottle thing, like that's special, because a bottle don't always break the first time.
that I guess that realization or that reveal to us was something I did not expect.
Oh, bro.
I did not expect that. And it just made me think, this is stuff that, kids will tease each other in many cases. They'll tease on each other, they'll bully each other, make fun of each other. And sometimes it'll go way too far or further than you think it should go, or one side or the other thinks it should go. But it did go too far. But then he never said, he just let it ride. And I was like, whoa. Like, they lingered on him. Like, he was just laid up watching the movie, knew good and well they were in danger. He just let them die. I was just like, man, that is cold and cruel. And he just lay there like nothing at all. But how about you, Jay? Favorite moment, shocking moment?
My favorite moment is, I believe it's the end of episode 6, but it could have been the end of episode 7, where he's passing out beers to everybody, trying to convince all the other heads of the gangs. Summit. Yeah, dude,
that was episode 6.
Episode 6. That was like, man, that moment at that point, so here's something that I think is so good about this show, right? And this is why that moment matters in regards to this, is that this show took a trope that we have been seeing. Disney's been doing this trope. I'm sure Universal and WB have been doing this trope as well. But they took this trope, which is, let's take the bad guy and then we're going to reveal their backstory and you're going to sympathize with them. And then you're going to go like, oh, the world has different perspectives and maybe this person isn't that bad, you know? This show, when it tried to take you down that path, because it was like, he's a kid who has an injury, a long-term injury, makes him walk funny. He's going to be bullied. We're seeing him bullied all the time. Yeah. He's the low man on the totem pole. He's the underdog. Okay, so I guess I'm kind of supposed to root for this guy because everybody else around him is worse than he is. So yeah, I'm rooting for him versus these other people. And then they give you that speech at the end of episode 6, and you go, the Penguin's doing something, and he's got Vic with him, and the Penguin and Vic are going to do something, and they're going to rise up out of these issues, and they're maybe not doing everything right, and they're screwing people over, but those people are bad people. Maybe that's okay. Maybe I can hang with that a little bit. And then the Penguin says, no, you can't, because evil people are evil people, and this is what they do. And that was just phenomenal, dude. Like the way that they came to that conclusion was so good.
Are you referring to the second to final scene of the season?
I'm referring to the whole last episode of the season, to be honest. Yeah.
So, okay, that was a shock to me as well. For me, the thing that stood out, my favorite moment of the season, is when I actually turned around on Sofia. When Sofia comes in, I'm like, man, I can't stand this girl. Gets on my nerves, blah, blah, blah. Who she think she is? And when they show her backstory, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man, they did her wrong.
Yeah.
Because she was just a regular person minding her business. Like, I mean, of course I'm pretty sure she knew her dad did not have a W-2. You know, she knew he didn't go to a corporate job, but she, like, to have her family members sign documents that she was crazy and she was some killer and stuff, like, yo, when she came out, I was like, you know what? I get it. I understand now. I get, you know what? Look, the whole family gassing, I'm like, you know what? Hey, look, I ain't saying, you know what I'm saying, I can't condone it, but I'm just saying I get it. You know,
dude, if you look up done dirty in the Urban Dictionary, you're just gonna see a picture of Sofia Gigante's face.
Bruh, like when they show her story, because I couldn't stand her. And then when they show her, I was like, man, this show is doing a good job. And actually, I'll also say this, because I know we're going to dig into some stuff. I want to give a shout out to Matt Reeves and the team, and because when I think of the Penguin, I'm not interested. I'm not enthused. I don't care. When they pitched the show, when they were like, we're going to have a show about the Penguin, I was like, so what?
Yeah.
And even when it came out, I did not watch it when it first came out. You and Solar told me that it was good. I think Jason told me it was good. Coop and Dub told me it was good. So I was like, okay, let me give it a shot. And then when I realized that it came straight off of the Batman, I watched the Batman again and then went into the season. And I have never cared so much about the Penguin in my life. I have never liked the Penguin more. This show is a testament to having the right people in charge, because a lot of times we'll hear people say, oh, well, we can't do a show about that person or a movie about that character and this and whatever because they're horrible characters and they're not good and they suck and they don't have any skills or powers and nobody cares about them. No, it's just whoever's in charge.
And the Matt Reeves
put the right person in charge, any story, any character can be fire.
Yeah, the Matt Reeves team came about and those people were like, no, you can't do that. This is the, and they were just like, shh.
They were like, we got this. They were like, we got this. Trust us.
Yeah, I mean, just what I gotta say is thank the gods. Thank the gods for HBO Max. Okay? Because this show was everything I wanted from Gotham.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
I'm
Don't
not
get
gonna
me
lie.
started on Gotham.
Because see, well, Gotham was like, yeah, check it out. We're gonna do this thing, and you're gonna learn Gotham City and all that stuff. And then they did it. And then Lauren LaFranc said, yeah, what was that? No, hold my beer and hold my mimosa. Cause we gonna do some stuff now. You know, you really want to take a look at Gotham City, and we've talked about comics and all that stuff before, and I make it very, very clear. My favorite character in Batman is the city. Okay, Gotham City is the realest of real characters that I've ever seen. And this show gave us what my best friend calls a worm's eye view from Gotham. And I'm like, yeah, this is, you know, you get the people on the street, what their lives are actually like, and this is a real big one for me. Why would anybody work with any of these people? Like, why in the name of all that is holy would you take a job from Scarecrow?
And then they
Or the
show us
Riddler.
why.
And then they're like, oh, because there ain't no Walmart hiring.
The city is horrible. They're all corrupt. So, and even though this guy Penguin or Falcone or Moretti or whoever, Salvatore or whatever, I can't remember his name.
Maroney, yeah.
Any of these people, they're dirty, but at least they're dirty and they're here with me.
Exactly.
Those city council people, they across the bridge living it up. And honestly, I'll start into this. I'll start into Penguin. With Oz, the way Oz does, and before I get started, guys, don't get into the life of crime. It's not good. Organized crime is not good for your health. Anyone who gets in that is most likely headed for a life in a
terrible
box,
end.
a life in a box, or under the ground in a box.
Yeah, so, a terrible end. We are in no way condoning a life of crime.
Yeah, but
if you do,
I like how Oz runs his organization, and because Oz has an old school kind of street guy look at everything. I think he was talking to Johnny Vitti. I think he was talking about like when I was coming up, there was a guy who knew everyone's name. He took care of people's moms. Rent wasn't a problem. He did, and that's the kind of gangsters that I heard about from like my father and my uncles. But those days are gone. Those like code, we don't deal on Sunday. We don't gangbang around the church. We don't gangbang around playgrounds. That day is gone. That day is long gone. But I've heard about those kind of guys where it's like you knew this guy, and no one snitched on him because he took care of everyone.
Yeah,
like what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, he's a dirty guy. Yeah, he sells guns and drugs. But like when my mom's car broke down and insurance got funny, he got her a new car. And like these, so it's kind of hard when the city is the way it is, meaning like the city leaders, and he comes into Crown Point and he's like, I'm giving people jobs. I'm putting money in their pocket. I'm making sure that they can live.
I'm getting the power turned back on.
Yeah, I'm getting the power turned back on. That's how you become a king. Like you come in, you fix and I'm like, so I kind of like the way Oz does things. He's like the old school gangster where it's like I can kind of roll with him. Kinda. But how do you out to Jay? Jay, how do you see Oz as like as a gangster, as a person, as a criminal, with all that he entails.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Oz is that his perspective is very clear, and he never really breaks from that perspective. And the reason why it's really intriguing from a character standpoint is because we don't think the way he does. He's clearly like a sociopath, right?
You don't think the way he does.
Yeah, I mean, if you think the way he does, it's wild. And what's so fascinating about it is that there's these moments in the show where you start to believe the things that come out of his mouth. But he's an unreliable narrator, right? Because nothing he says is actually the thing that he's going to do. Because what is he going to do? He's going to do whatever is best for Oz. Period. Yeah. Even him saying he's going to do something good for his mom is not really him doing anything for her on her behalf, because obviously he's hurt her too many times for that. What he's really doing is he's saying, I want to have my mom respect me the way that I respect the guy you were referring to, Michael. The guy that's the guy.
His name. The guy that was the gangster when he was a kid.
Was it Rex? Is his name Rex?
Yeah, it was Rex.
Rex. That's what it was. Yeah, Rex.
So, and so like basically he's like, my whole goal in life is to have other people respect me the way that I respect Rex, and that is going to include my mom. And he never wavers from that viewpoint even one time. He doesn't care about people. He knows enough to know that sociopaths will portray themselves as the person other people want them to be. So he does that to Vic, he does that to Sofia, he does it to several of the other gang bosses. And I think that makes for a character that has a very strong intent, a very strong goal, and a very strong means for achieving what he's going to achieve or she's going to achieve is a great character. And so even though this is a character who's like the scumbag of scumbags, like we don't even all understand what that means until we're hit over the head with it so many times. And I mean, we'll talk about masterful storytelling and how you weave that together. But yeah, so like very compelling character, and honestly, it really makes sense from a Penguin perspective, because we always see Penguin, and Penguin is always kind of the guy who gets crapped on, right? Like he's always kind of like, oh, like he's kind of funny and humorous, and then this Penguin was so fascinating because he is that guy, but then he's so ruthless that you're like, wow, I was not expecting that. I thought he would kind of just get stepped on and stay down, and like he's just like a cockroach. He just keeps coming back. Like
he figures out a way to kind of like roll with that punch and keep coming. And I mean, and he doesn't back down from a fight. Even when he was hand to hand with Saltor, I can't remember how to pronounce it properly. Sorry guys, you're in the comments, y'all will correct me. But when they were fighting, he was like, get up. He was like, let's go. Like get up, show me what you got. And I was like, wow, okay. Even with the leg injury, all that, he's still like, stand up, square up, let's fight. So that truly shows the kind of, I guess, moxie he has.
Yeah, and he's on the feet thinking too, right? Like he's just constantly can convince anybody, oh, well, I didn't do that for that reason. Or even in the beginning, right? Like the show starts out, we can do spoilers, right? Is that cool?
Yeah, we're talking about the show.
Okay, cool. So in the very first episode, he shoots Falcone's son. I can't remember what Falcone's son's name is, but he shoots
I can't remember his name.
Sophia's brother. Yeah. And he shoots this dude, and then the way that he is able to convince Sofia that he did not shoot that dude in light of the evidence that he did shoot that dude. I mean, you could be watching there's a lot of shows where you'd be watching it, and this is probably more like, a Gotham show or a CW show. You're watching it and you're going like, that logic is so stupid. How would anyone believe that? But you're sitting there watching this going like, oh my gosh, that is the best logic.
He's good.
Yeah, he's convincing me he didn't do it, and I saw him do it. It's like, it's wild. So they just wrote that character so well.
How about you, Solar? How do you see Oz now that we've seen the whole miniseries?
He deserves every bit of being a Batman villain.
Mm.
Every
Definitely.
single bit.
Mhm.
So watching the way that he came up, okay, like there've been a lot of depictions, all right, a lot of there have been a lot of depictions of Penguin, from Burgess Meredith to Danny DeVito. We don't want to talk about that.
Oh,
To
you don't
Paul-
like the DeVito?
To Paul Williams, who was most people's favorite, to even the dude from Gotham, who until this show was my favorite depiction. Okay. And the thing is, though, you got the Joker, the mad genius running out there, who was an intellectual match for Batman and has no motives, no this, no that, you know? You got the Scarecrow with his fear toxin turning any Gothamite crazy. You know, you even got the Mad Hatter doing mind control stuff, you know? And then you got the Penguin. Who is this dude? Okay, he's a fat guy in a top hat, you know? And the biggest thing is, okay, you've got all these Batman villains and Batman's on the Justice League and all that stuff, right? And then you got this fat dude with an umbrella and a monocle. Who cares? Right?
Yeah, I feel you.
But when it comes down to what Batman is, okay, Batman is a detective and a vigilante in a city whose corruption runs so thick that it's going to take at least 3 generations to fix it, no matter how much money you got, no matter how many political connections you got. Like, this city is
You kind of have to
busted.
like jail everybody and just start from zero.
Yeah, which is kind of the Leagues of Shadows biggest thing. Just demolish it all, start over. Okay. And then you got the Penguin, who's like, oh yeah, and by the way, I control the underworld. Like, there are no jobs, they come to me. You can't get the medicine for your grandmama, you come to me. And the only time I've actually seen that really pushed forward, okay, was in a Batman story arc back in 1997 called No Man's Land, where Gotham got hit with 3 earthquakes and a plague, and the government said, no, we're done. Blow up the bridges, we're done.
Wow.
And the Penguin took over most of the city because he's that guy. You know, it's like, yeah, whatever you need, Leo gets, you know, and that's the Penguin, you know, he's the fixer. And a lot of people don't understand how powerful a position that is.
Yeah, because he can talk. He can talk his way into and out of so much, and I guess
he's the guy with the negatives. You know, he's got dirt on everybody. He's got the words. Everybody owes him money. You know, there is the political power, and then there's the people power. And as long as Gotham City is broken, the Penguin has the market cornered on the people power.
Yeah.
Which is why he never ends up in Arkham. He always either ends up in Blackgate for a little while because he's not crazy, or he gets away with it. You know, and looking at this and then looking back at most other Batman media from, say, the past 15 years, you notice sort of an agreement between Batman and the Penguin. Where Batman's like, I'm gonna take you down, and the Penguin's like, yeah, I mean, you probably will, but don't mean I ain't getting back up. You know? And so it's like, yeah, I mean, really, if you go back to the Justice League animated universe, you watch The Batman or Beware the Bat, you know, and check out the comic books, the Penguin has this thing about he is the crime lord. You know, he's not robbing banks, he's taking down mortgage companies, you know, and this show, with my knowledge and my study of organized crime, this whole thing was played beautifully. Just plain beautifully. Penguin's got the heart and minds of pretty much the poor, the disenfranchised, and the forgotten about in Gotham, and Batman can't touch that.
Nah, especially when you see the actual display of the, I guess the when they blew up the dam from the movie, when Riddler blew up the dam, like that moment of Crown Point being flooded, and of course I know kind of like the kind of visions we get from like Katrina and stuff like that, but that vision, it's almost like the city said, well, we'll just forget about Crown Point. And it's like, well, yeah, well, what about the people that first, all of the bodies that have to be, removed and buried, and then what about the people that are still there? And it's like the city just forgot about them.
In the show's defense, the whole show takes place about 1 to 2 weeks after the movie.
Understood, but they had the same amount of time that Penguin had to get people's love and respect, and they didn't. Penguin
but they weren't going for the whole city, and they actually showed that. Because you brought up Katrina. We know which parishes were forgotten about. We know that the order of operations is the super rich, then the middle class, then everybody else. And I don't care if it's Louisiana or Miami or Baltimore or my beloved city of Los Angeles. Here in Los Angeles, I know that the people who live in between the valley and the rest of LA, they're getting their stuff done first. If there's ever an emergency, they're taken care of first. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm pretty sure Brentwood and UCLA didn't get its power cut during the 92 riots. You know what I'm talking about?
Most likely not.
So, and I mean, we even saw this during the movie The First Purge.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie said a lot about class warfare, but more to the point, it just showed everything. It was just like, it didn't go as in depth as The Wire, because The Wire had what, 5 seasons?
5, 6 seasons, 5.
Yeah, and Penguin's only getting 1. And come on up, Scraps. Oh, there we go. So we know what they are getting and what they're not getting. But they really showed, like, in order to make any progress anywhere, you need them Benjamins. You need them ends.
Yep. Because either that, or you have to be willing to, literally go up to a city council person and have dirt on them, and then like almost slit their throat.
Don't forget the needle nose pliers. Do not forget the needle nose pliers.
Yeah, you need. So it's like it shouldn't take all that, but it did take all that. But and we get a good look at the, like you said, the worm's eye view of Gotham as the city. And this is, I wish that we kind of got this in the show Gotham, because when Gotham was first pitched, in my mind, what we were going to get was The Wire plus The Shield in Gotham. And we did
not get that. And this show came out saying, yeah, hold my beer. You want to see why Batman don't leave this city? And I gotta give them kudos, because a lot of people who aren't as familiar with the funny books or with the lore would look at this show and they would have that, like, I picture myself sitting with my friends who aren't really into comic books going, well, where's Batman during all this? It's like, dude, it's one dude and it's a whole city. One dude. And it's only been a couple of days. I mean, that's a big part. We're talking 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's following right after the movie, which is cool.
Because if you notice, there weren't that many cops. It was straight up street thing. You know, I really
I'll
appreciate that.
I'll throw it to Jay. You brought up masterful storytelling. What are some examples that kind of like stood out to you as far as that masterful storytelling is, considered and all that?
So some of the things I always look for when I'm looking at a story to say whether or not it's a good story are things like, how does the story handle conflict, right? Some stories can be poorly written because there's just not enough conflict in them, and they get boring. Stories are fairly boring when there's no conflict. This show has a bunch of, everybody's in conflict with one another. Everybody has a goal.
Yeah.
Those goals are either shared, but they can't both achieve them, or divergent, and therefore they both can't achieve them either. And so, and then it strings you along. So it does twists really well, right? So the most horrific moment of the show is where the Penguin is on his rise to power, has brought along Vic, and then he ends up killing the person who we all thought, oh, this is his number 2 person. Like this is great. He's good to go.
Is like his general.
Exactly. Like he's going to rise Vic up, and Vic's going to be the man. And we all kind of root for Vic because Vic is the most like the audience. I'm uncomfortable with what's going on, but I'm also kind of stuck, and I'm not sure how to get out of some of these things. And the city is super unfair. So we're kind of seeing the world through Vic's eyes, and we're like, man, I kind of get why he believes in the Penguin. The Penguin is a super motivational person, and very convincing with his arguments. And so there's just all this conflict that exists. And so we go through this whole story, and the twist works with Vic. The twist of him dying works because we do not see that coming. Like there's even somebody that says, like, I saw on Threads. Since I'm no longer on X really anymore, I was on Threads, and I saw this person comparing the scene where he sits down and eventually kills Vic with the earlier scene. I believe it's in either episode 1 or 2, where he sits down with Vic and they're eating like fast food, and it's like the same sort of thing, right? And there's these parallels of like, well, people do that not when they go to kill somebody, generally speaking, but when they respect the person, they sit down with them, they're breaking bread with them, right?
I'm thinking we're gonna get like a line, like we're gonna own this city kind of line.
Exactly.
And no.
And it turned out to be more like, you are my number 1 guy.
And like you said about his motivation, it's true, because I remember texting Coop, and I was like, I like this show, but when it comes to Vic, I don't know, even the way it's written, I don't know whether he's bonding with him genuinely or he's grooming him.
Exactly.
I can't read him.
Exactly. And that's what makes him such a good character.
Yes.
Because the answer is, yep. That's the answer. It's funny because we're talking about the Penguin, but let me give my serious shout out to Christian Melody, because when I first saw her in Black Mirror, I'm like, oh, this girl is good. I didn't know she was this good. I really did not know that she was this good. I'm just like, wow. Because, this book is kind of based on The Long Halloween, where we first really meet the Sofia, God, see, you got me thinking Maroney so hard.
Gigante or Falcone.
Yeah. She starts out as Falcone, and then she goes, no, I don't want to be Falcone anymore.
When you first meet her, she is animated completely differently in the comic books. All right, in the comics, she's a sturdy girl. But I'm like, okay, they're casting somebody young and hot, whatever. It's TV. But she carried that role so hardcore. And from episode 2 on, I was with her 100%. Now, I love me some mob movies. Okay, I love stories about the Italian mafia. I really do. And I mean glorified, glamorized story. So I'm all right with The Sopranos, but I'm all about The Godfather. I'm all about Last American Gangster, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And Boardwalk Empire. Let's give a shout out to Boardwalk Empire. You know, glamorized stories about people that would have nothing to do with me. And, but having her essentially as Michael Corleone's daughter, navigating her way through that world, and we already know what kind of dude Salvatore Marconi is. You know, if you watch the Batman, we saw him. And shouts out to John Turturro, you do nothing wrong, even though you had to take the Transformers job because we all got mortgages. We saw him try to strangle Catwoman. We're like, this is a bad dude. And everybody that's in there, regardless of how nice their suit is, they are bad people.
Yeah.
And here she was, a good person who tried to do the right thing. And that one time she tries to do the right thing, she gets put in the system. And this show does an amazing job of showing how the system only makes you worse. Like, it don't work. You know, especially in Gotham, you know. Because it was like, oh, no, we have a absolutely sane person who's in here under false pretenses, and they're driving her crazy. And they're pulling all these prison tricks. If you've watched Oz, you know exactly which ones I'm talking about. And we actually get to see her break. And Melody pulls that off so well.
And then the remorse on her face when she sees that she did the same thing to Gia, or is doing the same thing to Gia.
And Gia's like, I saw the mask in your purse. I'm like, bruh, you just made a monster. You absolutely made a monster. And again, this actress deserves an Emmy, just like Colin Farrell deserves an Emmy, you know? Because real talk, we got to see a lot of human sides and how good people can be made into bad people.
Yep.
And this is America, and I ain't happy with America right now. But there's a whole lot of rhetoric about, well, these are the choices that you make. Yeah, but this show delved real deep into what do you have to choose from. You know, stop talking about, well, people are responsible for their choices as if they have better ones. And too many Americans do not take that into consideration. They think that everybody always has good options.
Yeah. The only options I will say is Sofia. I'll say Sofia, probably when she got out, her dad's dead. She should have just took whatever money she had from her dad and just left all that stuff. I know, I get it, but just go. And the same thing with Vic. When you have a pretty girl that you like and she like you, and she says, let's run away to California, and you ain't got nothing here tying you down, boy, go.
But he had something tying him down. He had a new daddy. He had a new family. Look, you can laugh.
Yeah, he did. But it's, oh man, you gotta go, man. You gotta. And see, the thing is, a real daddy would have told him to go. Penguin said, nah. You stay with me. I need to use you up for all the little, I don't know, criminality I need. Which goes back, circles right back around to what Jay was talking about with masterful storytelling. Like, you have these competing interests, you have a system that makes things worse. You have Salvatore, his wife, his son. Then you have Sofia. You even have Zahn there's so much going on. And Penguin's juggling. It's like spinning plates, and he's keeping them going. And even when they crash, he's able to be like, yeah, but I can sweep this up like this. But Penguin is incredible at thinking on his feet. I think Penguin probably plays into being, fat, ugly, having an injured leg, the limp, everything. He plays into that to be the sort of like the unseen.
Yeah. In Brazil, they call it Malicia, also known as street smarts. But how many knuckleheads do you know who act stupid?
True.
One of the things, on Jay's tip of masterful storytelling, there are 2 points of masterful storytelling that this show really puts out there, which is one, a very, very realistic depiction of an actual mastermind. We've had so many depictions of the mastermind that's like, haha, it was all part of my plan the entire time.
I knew what like 10 people would do throughout this whole. It's like, really?
Right.
All of them?
And the thing you never see for the mastermind is things going wrong and how they adapt. The only time things go wrong for Mastermind, taken from, as early as Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our generation, from 1978, to Old Boy from House of Cards, they don't show when something goes completely sideways and how they pull it back. The only time they see something go sideways for a mastermind in stories is the last time it goes sideways. Yeah. And that's the time that they're caught.
He's on a razor's edge like this whole show.
Yeah. And second, and this is something I really liked, which was the writers on this show, and oh my God, major shouts out to character pacing. They are really good at going, all right, we're doing the thing, we're keeping the action going, we have a compelling story, and about here, people are really gonna start to root for the Penguin. And then they give us something like, oh no, by the way, he's bad. Like every single time you start going, yeah, go on. Oh no. Because he does a lot of stuff that he doesn't have to do as a protagonist. And those things that he doesn't have to do as a protagonist really keeps it. I don't want to say that it spells out, but it keeps in mind the fact that most people lost the plot on Infinity War. With the whole Thanos was right thing. Every time they showed, every time that the story had pointed out to, hey, Penguin might have been right. Nope. Nope, absolutely not. He did not have to set that family on fire. He didn't have to do that. It's very cool when we see a very well written opportunistic mastermind. He knows how to seize an opportunity.
Oh, definitely.
And if there's any way I want to be like the Penguin, I want to be able to take something that goes bad and goes, you know what? No, maybe I can just give it away. Maybe I can. Maybe I can work this, because everything that happened, he twisted to his advantage.
Yeah, he figures this out. Like, so I wanna ask about these competing interests. What's a set of competing interests that really like drew you in, Jay?
Well, the two pieces of conflict that are centered to the show in terms of its overall plot line are, will Sofia take over all the gangs and run them because her family has basically run one of the biggest gangs in town against the Maronis? Or will the Penguin, will Oz, take over all of the minor gangs and make a major gang, right? And so that's the central conflict that I think is really, really, really fascinating. But there are other conflicts too, like even the sense that you get of like the lower gangs and their distrust of Oz, and whether or not they should throw in with him, or whether or not the bigger, more powerful gangs, which are getting decimated, sort of by Oz and by Sofia, if they will say, hey, no, we should kind of like try to fill the void ourselves, or, you know, partner with one of those big gangs because they have a lot of resources and maybe we can just keep making money that way. There's also the sense of conflict in Oz of whether he actually is in it to make a bunch of money, which I don't think he is. That's sort of the excuse he uses, to really, truly be considered the opposite of what he is, which he really desires to be, a respected member of society, and nobody respects him. Everybody thinks that he's just a dirtbag and a scumbag, and he's never
a scumbag. No one cares about him. He's you know, Falcone's errand boy kind of thing. But he also uses that as a way to like not be noticed.
Exactly.
Like, that's just Falcone's errand boy.
Yep.
And then you turn around like a month later, like, whoa, how Falcone's errand boy get all this power?
Yep. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry.
No. That's perfect. But then there's also the conflict that comes from two people like wanting very so there's the component of saying like we want the same thing, which is we want to take over Gotham and be like the leading underworld of Gotham. But then there's the competing things of like people who have very different goals, but maybe there's tension in the way that they work together. Like the fact that he can go into essentially the political side of the city, which is as corrupt as the underworld is,
if not more so.
Exactly. Yeah, in fact, I would make the argument that it is more so, because one thing that people don't understand about corruption, and this is very apparent in the United States in the modern day, to be honest with you, is that there are the people who tell you what they want you to hear and then do other things when you're not listening. And then there are the people who say, no, I'm a gangster and I've always been a gangster and I'm always going to be a gangster, right? Like, so at least there's integrity with that person. Whereas I think with the politicians, there's no integrity, right? So I just think that like there's so much there that's like even people who have a shared goal and we don't even realize there's conflict, but there is conflict. And by the way, this is another masterclass in storytelling, is that we don't really understand that Oz is partially jealous of Vic because of how Vic is developing a relationship with his mother. And that's like what? Super subtle, but it's in there. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up,
because there was that moment when he was dancing with his mom. Yep. His mom had went off on like tangent again, and she was remembering things like out of order and stuff like that. And to get her, you know, back to like center herself, he was dancing with her. He was talking with her like he was, I guess, like he was her son or something like that. Yeah. And Oz did not like that.
No,
he did not like that. Like that was a huge moment where you saw Oz kind of like break his cool for a second.
Yep. And there was the whole setup to that is, I want you to take care of my mother like I would take care of my mother. And then there's so the tension in Vic is, but I know that he's also jealous of the attention I might get from his mother. So how in the world do I manage? Like, how do I navigate this scenario? Yeah. Because if I do a good job, like he's asking me to, she's automatically going to gravitate towards me being a good caretaker for her, and she's going to like me because that's what happens with normal people. Yeah. And so there's this internal conflict with each of the characters too, of like, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I mean, Vic, the entire time, the entire series, the entire season, I should say, is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I go back to this life where I don't have anything going for me? I get bullied by the local gangsters. My stutter prevents me from getting ahead in some ways. In many ways, Vic sees Penguin as himself. He's a guy who had to take care of everything himself. Maybe I should be that guy. But at the same time, he also realizes, but what the Penguin is willing to do, I can make some excuses here and there, but some of the things that he's willing to do, man, I don't know if I can ever be that. So even the internal conflict of the characters is fantastic.
Yeah, I'd agree. The way Vic is characterized in this is you. That's why the closing scene hurts so much, or second to closing scene hurts so much, because you want Vic to win.
Yeah.
Like, Vic is this character. He comes up and he's like Solar said, he needs a father figure somewhere.
Yeah.
And Penguin's able to lay it on to even where I was watching this in this masterful storytelling, like, okay, is he grooming him or is he genuinely bonding with him? And he wavers inside and out, and then you see things like, bringing him in to see his mother and all this stuff. And then we even get another layer on how his mom, I guess, relates to Vic. No, now we know that she knows that he killed his brothers. So Vic, the whole time you're rooting for him, and when he has that moment where he gives kind of a speech in front of the minor gangs, you're like, oh man, yeah, all right, Vic. He kind of still, even though he got punched, you still feel like, yo, Vic, he's stepping up.
That was the moment I knew he was dead.
Oh,
right there. I'm serious. Now, the foreshadowing in it was rough when it comes to those of us who read them funny books, because his origin was essentially the first origin of Jason Todd. Except instead of stealing the rims off the Batmobile, he was stealing the rims off of the Maserati. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna forget this. I'm not gonna forget who is buying all these rims. And but I like a lot of the subtleties that they did, because when he gave his speech, and who was it? Link walked up, punched him in the stomach. He's like, shut your mouth, you're gonna get a bullet, as if to say, oh no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Like, I get where you coming from, but my man, look.
And we will then don't be messy like this.
Yeah.
All right. We will meet and have some coffee, but don't be messy like this.
And then when we see what happens with all of the second in line people, it's, Penguin tells this whole story about being the underdog and stuff like that, and being forced to wait, and all that good stuff. So we can see, okay, Vic and Link or whatever had that kind of rapport where they were like, look, I get where you're coming from. I see where you're at. I understand the passion, and you're not wrong, but you're talking to people that don't get talked to like that.
This is not the time or place, kid.
Yeah,
not the time or place.
You're not particularly wrong, but these people don't get talked to like that.
Yeah.
And you're not the Penguin yet either. Right? Like, that's part of it. It's like he saw that is so fascinating that speech comes shortly after Oz's speech to the same guys saying very similar things, and these guys are like, yeah, but you don't have the tools. Like, Oz had the tools. Yeah.
And that also, like I said, that was the moment that I knew he was dead, because that particular moment put him, very much made it very clear that if not now, 10 years from now, he could be competition to the Penguin. Not that he would, as the story was, but always in motion is the future. And he was getting good. He was the one that united all the second dudes. But it wasn't Oz.
I'm looking at it like, okay, cool. This is going to be like the 1-2 team. Like, this is going to be, okay, I as Penguin can go do whatever I need to do with the city council people, and I don't have to worry about anything, because I know that my right hand man can keep everybody in line and informed and organized. So I don't have to micromanage everyone, because Vic got this side. I can go over there and do everything I need to do with the dirty, corrupt politicians.
And this is why you do very good podcasts and are not a crime lord. Okay? Because that's great. However, as the crime lord, you got to make absolutely sure that everybody your number 2 is managing has more loyalty to you than they do to your number 2. Remember,
Yeah, because then people
Caesar
get
was
the whispering.
Yeah,
and
Caesar
they're
wasn't
like, well,
killed by people on the street,
really,
bro.
You should really have the job yourself. It should be. I mean, you the one that's all. You should be in charge. So, but that kind of goes to a classic movie called Paid in Full, where where he says everybody eats. If everybody eats, you gonna be all right. Well, he still gets robbed and shot, but you know what I mean. Like
Exactly.
but that was the jealous dude that was in a whole nother crew. He wasn't part of his crew. Everyone in his crew was actually satisfied.
Yeah, but bruh, never forget, the Machiavellian rule is keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Okay? Because you always got to know what they're doing. But when it comes to that kind of thing, keep in mind, history would have gone a little differently if Caesar had kept Brutus closer to him than he allowed Brutus to get to Mark Antony.
Okay.
Brutus was the number one guy, and he was loyal to Caesar. And then come Mark Antony. Hey, man, you know your boy is like corrupt. Oh, we gonna do a thing. Cause let me show you how the dude that built you up and all that stuff. Yeah, we just need you to get us in the back door. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel. I see you on that one.
And the Penguin had, like, again, this is also why I do podcasts and I run games, and I am not a criminal overlord.
But this is also okay. I'm not no criminal, overlord or whatever. But when you kill that guy, then you have to spend time trying to find another guy that's as good as that guy. And there's no guarantee there's going to be another. So now you got to train someone else.
Training. Look, skills are easy to build. Loyalty is not.
But I think he had that in Vic. Vic
he
never came off to me like a Weasley guy.
He had it that day, but 5-10 years after that, could he guarantee? Because remember, the Vic character literally had nothing to lose. He had no family. He had no girl. He had no job. He had no leverage. All he had was his loyalty to the Penguin. That was it.
So what you're saying is theorizing 5 to 10 years from now, when he has more than what he has now, then Penguin doesn't have the same loyalty that he used to have from Vic.
Exactly. But the next guy that the Penguin trains up has got to know that he got the job because the Penguin killed the last number one. If you were the boss, it's like, yeah, you know what? That last guy was loyal, and I saw him potentially becoming a threat and being used as leverage, and I killed him. Where do you think you stand?
But at least in my mind, doesn't that end up creating sort of like an employee base that you also have to look over your shoulder on?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want that when you already have to worry about Salvatore, Sofia, all these other people?
He ain't got them no more.
Well, I mean, still, just if you want to theorize 10 years for Vic, I mean, what about the 10 years for any of these other little crews?
Sofia's not getting out of Arkham.
No, I'm talking about these other little crews. Like, if you want to theorize on Vic, what about them? What if they decide they want to, you need someone that you can trust that, I don't know. I've never gotten that. I mean, I see why,
I get it,
but I also don't see why.
Well, again, you are, how can I put this? Deep down, my friend, you're a good person, which means you can't think like a bad one. I'm all right. I mean, everything you're talking about is real, okay? And that would be how to run a not corrupt organization. All right, but he's in crime. Okay, how do you keep the other families in line? Fear and respect. You put food on their table and you make a show of dealing with those who even dream about taking you down and usurping your power, then if nothing else, you're going to get a good adversary. But you're not going to get every single Twan, Jamal, and Peter or Paul trying to take you down every other year.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, you might get a Marlowe 10 years from now, but that Marlowe will not be the dude that helped you build everything and knows how it works.
Yeah, Marlowe was completely out of Marlowe sort of came out of the blue on it.
Yeah, just like Avon did.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, to use The Wire as a reference and back me up on this one, Jay, the Penguin saw that our boy Vic could have been a stringer one day. And you cut those problems out at the bud. You know, if he was ever kidnapped, like there's one of the big reasons for the 24th or the 25th Amendment is if the president's family gets kidnapped and held hostage, then the president quits the job.
I get you. And
one of the stories that's like the oldest story is A Tale of Time to Solar's point is the strong king, the strong, ruthless king always fears the good king, right? Because the strong and ruthless king rules by fear, and the populace goes, well, I don't think we can take him. If we mess this up and we don't take him, then we are done. Whereas the good king rules, and the people go, he needs to stay king for as long as he can stay king, right? So it's if you see, and you see that in Vic, like the Penguin, everybody knows the Penguin's a dirtbag, but you kind of see in Vic a guy who's like, yeah, that guy's not a dirtbag. I mean, like we might want to work for that guy because he'd actually be good to us.
Okay, all right, because in Two Strings defense. String actually started out as like holding things down while Avon was in jail. He didn't have Avon put in jail or anything like that. Like he just happened.
Not the first time.
Oh snap! Oh,
I mean,
snap. Okay, but in all honesty, the first time Avon went to jail, String had nothing to do. He was just there. He was like, all right, well, I guess I got to try to make it work while he's in jail. When he gets back, everything will still be running. Because you also don't want to be the guy who Avon goes to jail and then like everything goes to rubble and then like everybody just leaves. Like, and then they're like, you can't run nothing. Like, because he'll come home from jail and be like, yo, you were supposed to keep this going. So it, like Jay was saying, rocking a hard place. And if he let it go to to just rubble and we had no more corners and no money coming in and no nothing.
Yeah. But again, the harsh king versus the good king. What I see in Vic is if the Penguin ever goes to jail and Vic is running everything, when Vic tries to give everything back, they won't go.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Like I said, you're a good person.
Because Vic is loyal. Because Vic is loyal to Penguin. So Penguin comes out of jail. It's been let's say it's been a year, 2 years. Penguin comes back out. Vic says, "All right, guys, it's Penguin's back. Here goes Penguin." And people be like, "Oh no, we kind of liked it when you were here." Yeah. And then Vic be like, "No, guys, like Penguin is in charge. Like I'm just like I was here interim. He's back. He's the man." And then being like, "No, we're not working for nobody but you." And now you have like a real issue that technically Vic didn't start.
Yep.
And though Penguin has all the power, he's got none of the respect.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from. Because
so again, me
you
being
can have
the guy
a huge issue on your hands that you technically didn't even start. Because then you're kind of being like, "Hey guys, no, he is the guy."
Yeah. And me being the guy that studies stories of power, I'm like, I really hate that I like Vic as much as I do. Because he's not going to make it to, if he makes it to season 2, he's not making it to season 3. They're like, Glenn. Hi, Glenn.
Oh, yeah. That's a good example.
Oh well, I'll throw it to Jay because we can talk about this show like forever. But
We could
I'll throw
totally
it to Jay.
I'm actually surprised we weren't doing an episode by episode breakdown, but now I know you didn't start watching it till late.
Yeah, I didn't come into things until I think it was like episode 4.
Gotcha.
Because like I said, I was like, Penguin, I don't want to watch this. And I was wrong. This show is awesome. But I'll throw it to Jay. Final thoughts, and where can they find you?
So, final thoughts is that this is one of my top 3 shows of the year.
Okay.
It is. You heard me say this before, but like, The Gentleman is up in the top 3. Fallout is up in the top 3, and I was wondering, like, how is the top 3 going to round out? Because there's been so many good shows this year. It's been, honestly, I did not start this year thinking there were going to be a bunch of great shows. And then, like, for example, next year, I already know 2 shows are going to be great. Andor and season 5 of Stranger Things. Like, those 2 shows are going to be phenomenal.
Yeah,
I can't wait for them.
I'm pretty sure they're going to go out with a bang on Stranger Things.
Yes.
And Andor is probably going to be same amount of quality as we had before.
Exactly. So, like, I know 25 is going to be a great year. This year, I was like, I hadn't even really known that they were working on Fallout, if I'm being honest. I hadn't heard that they were doing The Gentleman at all. And the movie's, good, but it's not great. So I watched those 2 shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is way better than I thought it was going to be. The Penguin, I was kind of sitting in your boat, Michael, in terms of being like, yeah, I liked the Batman. The Batman was really good. I didn't love the Batman because I still think that the Batman saying that he's going to have to be a beacon of hope is like, that's kind of weird. Actually, I feel like where he started out is kind of where I would have him end, is just being this person who's doing vengeance on behalf of the underdogs in Gotham. So I liked the Batman, but I didn't love the Batman. And so for the Penguin, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll try it out because like I trust HBO to put out some good shows. And man, this show was so good, easily made it into the top 3. I mean, we talked about Rings of Power being a lot better than season 1, but this just blows Rings of Power out of the water. I mean, this is just like ideal storytelling. So I can't say enough good things. We didn't even talk about how good Colin Farrell is. The guy is unrecognizable in that suit. Like
the Hollywood makeup is on another level.
If
he walked past you, you'd be like, "Oh, it's just a guy walking down the street," and like, you would be like, exactly. And they even went like he did scenes with his shirt off and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, whoa. Like y'all did like his full body. That's not like a fat suit. It's a fat suit, but it's not a fat suit. It's like, it's not like just pillows under there.
Yeah, no, we are a long distance from Big Mama, y'all. Oh. This ain't the clumps.
Oh yeah, it's so crazy. And his accent is unbelievable. And then Christina Milioti, phenomenal. Vic, the kid who plays Vic, phenomenal. The lady who plays the mom, both the young version of the mom and the old version of the mom. There's not a bad performance in this whole show.
Yeah, no one is bad in this.
No one's bad in this. In fact, I said to my wife, like, the guy who played Johnny Vitti, that dude is like an awesome actor. Like that guy, like if I had ever had a chance to work with that guy, I'd work with him in a second. And I turned to Jessica, well, my wife, as we were watching the show, and I was like, this guy feels like he's very mid in this show comparative to all the other people around him and what they're doing in this show, which is unbelievable. So just a huge shout out to the cast, a huge shout out to the showrunner. This show is just a phenomenal show. Keep in mind, like, look at this playbook. Just for 1 second, let's compare playbooks. We never heard anything about there's a female showrunner and it's really important that we back this female showrunner. No, this lady showed up and said, I have a job to do, and it's to create one of the most unbelievable stories of this year. I don't care about any of the rest of it. And then
it's a female showrunner?
Female showrunner, dude. Like, this lady just killed it. And Disney is sitting here telling us how great theirs are, and they're terrible.
So hold on. We had a female showrunner, and Hollywood did not spend weeks patting themselves on the back for it.
Exactly.
Wow. Right, go ahead, Hollywood. Maybe y'all are actually starting to make a slight change.
Don't confuse Hollywood with Disney.
Yeah.
All right. Warner Brothers has always been on its own thing. All right. Love it or hate it. But yeah, I mean, real talk. What was her name? Like I said her name earlier. The show creator.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll get her name. I'll get her name while you're talking. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, Lauren LaFranc
There you
literally
go.
came
Lauren
in
LaFranc.
and said, "Oh, so we're gonna do a crime drama? Yeah. Hold my beer, hold my mimosa, and get me my phone book." You know, and sure enough, we get, quite honestly, definitely the best crime drama of the year.
Yeah.
If not one of the best crime drama. Well, all right, so we're in the final thoughts part.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna say on this one is, when you only got one season, this is how you do it.
Yes.
If you've
absolutely.
If you've got 5 seasons, this is how you do season 1. This right here.
Yep.
Because I am simultaneously satisfied with the Penguin story, and I've already bought my ticket for Batman Part 2.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm all in.
Exactly.
All right. Like, quite seriously, for the people that are afraid to make comic book anything, this is how you do it. Now, I loved Matt Reeves' The Batman. I loved that movie. Not just because they took a Nirvana song and squeezed it for everything it was worth. But because when they said, let's do grounded Batman, they also said, yeah, but not too grounded. You know? And when you watch a Batman movie and you only have one scene where you go, nah, then you're looking at something good. You're really looking at something good. And if y'all watch the movie as many times as I have, you know what scene I'm talking about. But this show is literally a perfect season of television. It is literally a perfect season of television. The story is coherent. The characters are perfectly three-dimensional. The casting was absolutely on point. Okay, I mean, just the fact that this show has been over for what, as time of recording, 4 days?
Yeah,
And we are already comparing it to The Wire?
So true.
I mean, real talk. We're comparing this to, honestly, one of the top 5 television dramas of the past 30 years. Okay, out of 10 episodes, this show took 10 episodes of television and said, for the future, this is how you do it. You know, yeah, I would say my only problem with this show is that it's not getting a season 2, but you know what? It don't need one. This is
They're
what
already
Law
talking
Force-
about that anyways. They're already asking that question.
No, honestly, I want to see this team work, or either this team or a team that they pick work on Scarecrow next. You know, or Hugo Strange, or one of the other not as well-known Batman villains.
Yeah.
Because
I will say I do like the idea, and I mean, I know they kind of, Matt Reeves came in at a time where like James Gunn was taking over and stuff, but I do like the idea of like movie miniseries. I'd be down with that. If it's gonna be this good, I'd be down with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that honestly, that's what Marvel was trying to do, but then came Perlmutter, the end. But yeah, I mean, just looking at this was the way, like, one of the things I hate, you brought up this show has a woman showrunner, and one of the things I hate is the peanut gallery. Look, y'all can come for me, I don't care. All right? But when people say, well, you know, you could have made it good, and I hate that because my spectrum brain goes, all right, well, define good. You know, because it's easy to say something sucks. All right? But it's not easy to say what doesn't.
Yes.
And
This
show was so respectful of the source material. It diminished no one. No one in the show caught a case of the stupids for the sake of the plot. And that's a real big thing for me. That's a real big thing. You know, I allow people one or two mistakes, but not a case of the stupid that costs the movies. Don't talk to me about Othello. Okay. But yeah, this was a good show and a satisfying show. I knocked off my socks, knocked off. Okay, seriously, it knocked my socks off. And if this is how Matt Reeves is going to run the Batman thing, then, you know, I want him to have at least a trilogy. At least a trilogy. You know.
But let me
3 or 4 miniseries.
My bad. Jay, go on. Finish any other thought you had. Sorry I jumped in on you, but
No, you're good.
Any other thought? And of course, where can they find you?
No other thoughts other than just a huge congratulations to everybody who worked on this, because they just absolutely destroyed it. So it's like when you're in the business of storytelling, when you do that a lot, and then you come up and you show up to a show, and to Solar's point, you have like, wow, I have no notes. Like, that's just like that's like one of the coolest things you can possibly say. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just cool. I'm very stoked about it. Now I do have an announcement. You guys can actually, you've heard me talk about No Vacancy a ton. No Vacancy is the short film that I co-wrote and co-directed. It's award-winning now, which is awesome, and it's made it into the quarterfinals of a couple more contests, which is fantastic. Woo! Yeah. We're going to have a couple private screenings in Los Angeles. So if you're in Los Angeles and you want to see No Vacancy, you can come see us in Pasadena. I'm going to give you the website so you don't have to remember all this stuff. But you can come see us in Pasadena or Costa Mesa on December 5th or December 7th. And for more information, just head over to no-vacancy-screenings, plural, screenings, plural, no-vacancy-screenings.carrd.co. no-vacancies-screenings.carrd-co. And you can get all the tickets are free. So we're just doing free screenings. We just want to celebrate the film a little bit, get some industry people in the room, because we're trying to make a feature film. And so we'd love to see you there.
All right, that's what's up. And I'll make sure I put the link in the comment section and in the description so people can see that too.
Awesome.
But final thoughts, Solar. I know you gave some, but any more final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Yeah, actually, again, this show, like, I don't want to hear anybody say that, one, the Joker is the only interesting villain from Batman, because this is literally a case study and an example of how that take is incorrect. Not just because I'm a little jokered out, but because of why I'm jokered out, in the sense of there are many more great villains.
Yeah.
And second, when Batman fans go off about how cool Batman and stuff is, take a look at this show, because this was one of the first things that I've seen, like one of the first television shows or one of the first pieces of media that does not have the character that most people are thinking about, that actually makes that character better. Okay. And I will say that in regards to this show was happening a couple of weeks, or actually just a few days to 2 weeks after the Matt Reeves Batman movie. And we didn't get a hint of Batman until the final shot of the entire season. So where else was he? What was he doing? How bad is Gotham to where a bomb can go off in the bad neighborhood and Batman does not show up to investigate? What else was on his plate?
Man.
And that's a big thing. Like, this city is messed up, and this show really shows that this city is messed up. And for the longest time, Batman, as one dude, just one dude, has been holding it together by himself until his third year, where he gets a 12-year-old. Like, that's huge, you know, and that really reflects on how great this character is. And really, just really, I can't say enough good about this show. I'm really hoping that this production team stays together and gets more projects that they have this much passion and knowledge about, because I want to see more from them. I really want to see more from this production team. So, and if you guys want to know a little bit more about storytelling, playing games, writing games, playing with toys, and talking about them funny books, y'all can see me on my YouTube channel, Solar Grey. You can also see me on twitch.tv/BID_P. Also over at my Patreon at patreon.com/BID_P. Here on NERDSoul, as much as he will let me be on, and he will continue to let me be on if you like and subscribe. And if you will like and subscribe for the purposes of getting me off of here, then try it. He might just go for it. And of course, I look forward to seeing you guys and talking to you guys about all this stuff. And I do read the comments, even though I don't always have time to reply.
This was up. Oh, speaking of the comments, there was someone who made a comment that I wanted to bring up to you real quick, Solar. Trying to remember where they were. They said they saw you around Halloween. Geeky Andre, he commented.
Oh yeah,
he said he saw you at a Halloween party and got to hang out with you for a little bit. So big shout out to Geeky Andre. Good chance, good that y'all got a chance to chill for a second.
Oh yeah.
So that was cool.
He had a great costume. He was Dream of the Endless.
Ah.
We were at a party whose theme was 1930s horror.
Oh, okay.
And I showed up as an educated Negro. So, that was, hey, that was one of the scariest things in the 1930s.
True. So, I guess my final thoughts will be short. Super short. Lauren LaFranc, I'm pretty sure I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and I apologize, but thank you. Matt Reeves, thank you. Matt Reeves, I know you're probably not interested, especially as grounded as these offerings have been. I'm sure you're not interested in doing any other DC stuff, because when it comes to trying to do real grounded stuff, Batman's probably the easiest. Maybe Arrow is second easiest to do. But man, it would be awesome if you stuck around. But I know you got things to do. I understand. I like the format of the movie, the miniseries, and another movie. I don't know how much more we're gonna get, because I know that James Gunn has stuff and he's doing Superman and he's doing, Green Lantern and all that stuff. But wow, you guys killed it. And when I mean killed it, every time I watched the episode, I wasn't thinking about, oh, I got to make some food, or, oh, I need to fold the clothes. No, I was locked in. I wasn't interested in anything else going on. I was locked in to what was going on. I cared about the characters. I hated the characters. The characters got on my nerves, but that's because I was invested. And I felt bad for the characters. I went from feeling bad for them, for hating them, and back again. This show was awesome. So thank you. We need more television like this. Also, to all the people, like so I was saying, to all the people that say like, oh, comic books, no, they took these characters seriously. None of these characters seem, cheesy or corny or stupid or anything like that. They took them seriously, and the actors took them seriously, and it showed. And this is how you can make comic book media, or comics media, or shoot, video game media is that as well. just take it seriously and hire Lauren LaFranc. I'm pretty sure her phone has to be. If her phone is not ringing off the hook, I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I mean, unless maybe you just don't have the money, because I'm pretty sure her price just went up. I'm almost absolutely sure her price just went up.
I can't afford her.
I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure this show will not get any awards because it's based on comic books. So I'm pretty sure this show is not going to get any awards, but this show rocks from end to end, 8 episodes of fire. So with that said, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. And until the next time that you have to live life on a razor's edge to hopefully be the king of Gotham. Well, of Gotham's underworld, because I think Batman might have something to say about that. But, to be the king of Gotham, we're just saying peace.